The ranked reset always kind of made sense to me, and it was something that I was actually advocating for. I was really happy that they were going to start doing the ranked resets. It was their initial plan, and like that was what they wanted to do. It was the only reason it didn't happen between season 1 and season 1.5 is because the community asked NetEase to not do it. But it always made sense to me, and it was always something that I was like looking forward to. But it was only after I saw this clip that I realized it may not be as straightforward for everyone as I initially thought. So here's the clip in question.
Losing in plat. Whatever. Do you fucking understand? You don't understand.
I had more final hits than our magic.
Whatever. You obviously don't understand, and you're a fucking AI. So let me explain it to you, okay? Whatever. I'm also gonna ban you, okay? We're not losing in plat, all right? This is not us losing in plat. The #1 player in the world was the very first game that we played. He was in Diamond 3, okay? So obviously you didn't read the update. So let me tell you the update, okay? Plat is no longer bad. All of the good players are in plat, which probably means your ass is in bronze. Fucking bitch. Log in. Maybe you haven't hopped on your account yet. You're probably fucking bronze. You probably hopped off last night plat. Oh, dude, he's in plat now, dude. He's in my elo. No, you're in bronze. This guy banned. I'm a frost. I'm over it. I was yelling. I was crashing out of my chat. Now my character's banned. It's all over.
If you look at the brackets, if you look at the highest elo, even as Eternity, which is the highest rank you can get, and remember, one above all is still Eternity, it's just the top Eternity player. So one above all isn't a brand new rank, it's almost a rank awarded like a badge to the best Eternity players. So if you look at Eternity, you go down 9 divisions, and Diamond 3 is effectively the highest rank that you could have right after the reset. So the best, highest, most rated one above all players in Eternity could not be Diamond 2. And like to greater visualize this, let's take the player distribution graph, right? This was what NetEase provided for us in the Season 2 sneak trailer. This was effectively the most accurate data we had towards the end of Season 1.5 of the player distribution. And it like actually has some form of a normal bell curve happening, which third-party software wasn't displaying. Like we didn't get this nice like bell curve shape. But if you take this and imagine for a moment just flipping it onto its side so that we can get the idea of like the ranks going up, and that will become the new Y on a graph. The bell curve would be somewhere here, but instead for our X, let's plot like all the players. So you could imagine, you could picture this going on and on for as many players as there are, so that each X point is now the player and their Y is that player's rank. So if you have a graph that looks something like this, we're just shortening it on the side because we're obviously not going to plot every player, but just imagine that's what the graph looks like. If every single player has now moved down 9 divisions, it's the same as taking all of these bars and dropping that by 9 divisions. And another way you can think of that is, well, if everyone who drops even deeper below where this graph could allow, they just get defaulted to bronze 3, it's almost then the same as saying, okay, well then instead of dropping the tops of all of them, we're actually just going to raise the floor. And when you picture it this way and you take that normal curve into account, by raising the floor like that, what you've effectively done is you've isolated these higher ranks and you've made them that much better. You've made the best players that were there now somewhere here, such that everything above that is new grounds, it's new ladder, it's new climbing space for these players to get even better. And effectively it will still be the same people, it's the same players that will make their way back up there, but by doing this you've filtered it, you've made it a more condensed, refined player pool. So you've effectively increased the ceiling by increasing the floor, so that everyone who didn't normalize have more climbing room, so they have more space to climb even higher. And what that's going to do is it's going to drop the total number of people in all of these ranks to 0, so that when new people get to these ranks, it's a fresh batch. It's the filtered through version. And because of this, if you imagine this process happening again and again and again, it's going to keep on refining and condensing and filtering these higher ranks. And that's going to keep on making them the most accurate depiction or the most accurate representation of actually high skilled players. And doing so means that, well, anyone who wasn't higher than a 9th division break from Bronze 3 will just get set to Bronze 3. And let's say you as a player, let's say you're a Gold 2 player, even though now you're in a Bronze 3 game, all of the other Gold 2 players are there also, alongside Gold 3 and Silvers and Bronze. They've all just kind of been amalgamated. And it's the same for the highest tier, right? So there could have been an 1,000.1 above all Eternity player, or there could have been a 20.1 above all Eternity player, or just 20 points Eternity player. And now they're both playing with each other in Diamond 3. Like, that's how the reset had affected it. So all that this reset means is that what to you and me would have been X rank in the past is now just X minus 9. So it's not to say that if you're still in this elo you're bad, it's just that everyone's still kind of finding their feet. So I'm, for example, busy playing in Plat, because after my reset, it dropped me all the way to Gold, and I climbed through Gold pretty quickly, and I've jumped into Plat, which has been great, because I've been able to play alongside my Celestial friends. But to me, the games are enjoyable, they're challenging, so it's not like I need the games to be Grandmaster or Celestial or whatever to be challenged, because the reason those elos were challenging before the reset is because that's where those skill of players were. They're just now in a different place. So it's the equivalent of that rank. So the skill and the difficulty of those matches are now just, they're under a lower umbrella. They're in a rank that isn't the same as what they were. So what does this all mean? Well, it basically just means that as these resets happen, it's going to kind of put a buffer on the higher ranks. And this is great for two reasons, right? One is it's kind of like a form of decay. So you know how in other games, if you don't play frequently enough, if you haven't played in so long, you will lose your rank or your rank will decay? This is going to also kind of do that same job, because at the end of every season or mid-season, everyone gets reset. It's kind of like a server-wide decay that everyone experiences. And that means that the highest elo is constantly being filtered and filtered and filtered to be the most concurrent, best performing players that are there. If you compare this to, let's say, a game where it didn't do this, let's say you hit the highest rank, like Eternity, and now you log off, you don't play the game, the data is capturing you as an Eternity player, and your slot, your spot on the leaderboard still exists, and players have to kind of navigate around what is effectively a dead slot now. So it's not an accurate depiction of the actual leaderboard and what's happening on live data side. So this reset kind of gets rid of that. The other really nice thing about this reset is, if you haven't seen my other video, you should check it out, where I speak about how the ranked experience is superior in a game like Marvel Rivals, because it favors the solo climbing experience. An individual player is more fairly gauged on their performance just due to the simple fact that you can gain more than you can lose on average based on your individual performance, regardless of game outcomes. And this has only just been enforced in Season 2. They've made it more so the fact that the better you perform, win or loss, the better you will rank. And this accounts for things that the system otherwise couldn't award you for. The system couldn't just have a button that they click where if someone leaves your team, you don't get the loss, because then people could just use alt accounts or friends to boost them, and the second they're going to lose the game, the friend will just leave the match. So these kinds of loopholes would make any other system kind of negligible. So instead, what they've done is they've favored the climb. If you have a positive win rate, and the higher that positive win rate, the more this effect happens. But if you have a higher win rate, you're gaining more points than you're losing. So regardless of what rank you're in, you can consistently try to perform to get that win rate to gain more points than you lose. And this exists in most games, right? This is why win streaks climb faster than just higher wins overall, because the win streak is more reflective of your win rate. So if you've only played 5 games, but you've won all 5 of those games, you've got a 100% win rate, versus playing 30 games and somewhere in those 30 games you've won 5 times. Obviously, one is better performance than the other, but playing more games is how you improve that performance. It's impossible for even the best player in the world to guarantee that they'll win every single game. And this is just how the game works. There can be counter picks, there could just be great team comps, there could be communication disparities amongst teams. On top of that, then there's other things, right? There's other unforeseen factors, and I already mentioned one of them, which is like leavers. If people leave the game, there's a system in place that's benefiting those people who are still present. So the whole performance-based outcome and the performance-based SR gains is really in your favor, and it is very much so that if you're losing the game now, you're encouraged to still fight for that SVP, because it's going to give you a little bit of a buffer for how many points you'll be losing. So all these systems come into play to make what I feel is the best climbing experience out there in competitive gaming to date. And if you look at how this ranked reset plays into that, it allows the system to continue to exist, because the nature of this system is kind of an inflatable one, right? So you will get people who are kind of boosted because of the nature of the system. The ranked resets are going to help mitigate that without having to change the system. So it's a really nice solution in my mind, especially if it's a consistent thing. It's almost akin to like wipes in games like Rust or DayZ, where it's giving newer players an edge or an advantage over players that have just spent more time. So because this system favors many games of good or even mediocre performance to rank up, it's disadvantageous for someone who's starting the game. So these rank resets act as a pseudo wipe to help newer players as well catch the kind of win train that is ranked in this current state. And I mean, again, I mentioned at the start of this, I mentioned earlier that this is exactly what's happened with me, right? I was playing in Grandmaster games and it was a little bit rough. Like I was struggling to get out of that pool to play with my Celestial friends. But as soon as this ranked reset happened, it's filtered through that. So all of the people I was playing with when I was reset to gold were active, currently climbing, either Grandmaster players or even Diamond players that were building up there. And it helped filter out the kind of players who just spend the hours, play enough games to eventually end up in Grandmaster, and then they just kind of rank camped. They just kind of hung around there, and that really changed the nature of the game. So I felt like I've kind of hopped on this train almost to catch up to my friends, and now it's great I can play with my friends. And I mean, we've seen all types of crests. We've seen the regular silver crest, which symbolizes you know, that you've got at least Grandmaster. We've seen the blue crest, which symbolizes that you've got at least Celestial, and we've even seen a handful of gold crests, which means that you've got an Eternity or above. So that's why I felt, you know, the games are challenging enough as it is, and I'm enjoying that challenge. And for the whole comment to be made, if we go back to Tim the Tatman and Ninja, that like, there's, oh, a debate, you've lost a plat game, it's just a plat game. I mean, this all could have been for content, so don't, you know, take it all with a grain of salt. But the nature of that misunderstanding is that plat isn't what it used to be. Those plats or even Diamond 3 players are some of the best players in the game. So it's not to scoff and say, oh, it's just a plat lobby. Once you hit a rank like platinum, you're in the top 92, sorry, you're above 92% of the player base. So before that percentage was only, you know, behind Grandmaster 2 onwards. So to hit that percentage, to see the difference in those players, and that's again because, like I've said, the floor has moved up. So those higher ranks are technically inaccessible right now. And because you have the best players in the world fighting neck and neck at elos like Platinum or Diamond, you know, it's almost this unpassable wall for your average Grandmaster player to just walk past and, you know, try and get back to where they were last season. So this is going to change over time, right? As more and more people who are supposed to be in silver, gold, and so forth get out of bronze and move onwards, that whole buffer is going to move up. It's going to be like this wave that I was speaking about. So it's almost as though the lower ranks are going to climb up, and they're going to be the shoulders that the higher ranks stand on top of to touch back into those higher elos. And it's all related to like the normal curve, right? The bell curve. So as the season continues to go on, getting into those ranks is going to become easier and easier. But it also encourages you to play with them now, because that shift is moving. It's like almost like when you're surfing. You don't wait for the wave to pass before you start paddling, right? You want to be on the crest of the wave. That's when you start paddling and you stand up. That's how you ride with the wave. So any good player, this system doesn't matter as much, right? You're going to climb, it's whatever, but being on the crest of that wave is just going to make your climbing experience faster and more seamless. So you're going to want to be on the crest. It's just going to make it better. But anyways, thanks so much for checking out my video. If you like this kind of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And let me know if you want to see anything else next. If you have any suggestions, or even if it's just a video you want me to react and go over to and give my opinions on, be sure to let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks so much guys. Hope you have a good one.